That's why when Moshe Rabbeinu asked Hashem, let me see your face. Let me see your front. Hashem says, no one can see my face and live. One of the 13 principles of faith, meaning one of the 13 foundational statements that you must believe in order to be a kosher Jew, says that Hashem has no image and no likeness of an image. Meaning he has no body, he has no arms, he has no face, he has no back, he has nothing. You cannot even visualize when you pray. There's a mistake that people make. People try to visualize something in the sky. You're not allowed to do that. That's avodah zarah.
No, but if you believe that it's, you don't think
Believe
about necessarily.
if you're visualizing an image of some kind, it's a problem.
Like, you know that it's
He's there. That's different.
It's there, you know?
Something is there, fine. But but a lot of people
Yeah,
visualize an image.
No, image.
So they visualize a hand. They visualize a face. Always with a beard, by the way.
What did he mean, Moshe Rabbeinu? Let me see your face.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
So, or some people visualize the words Yud Kei Vav Kei, Yud Hey Vav Hey, and they put in. They visualize that word. You're not allowed to visualize.
No.
Not allowed to visualize. Not allowed to visualize anything for Hashem. Nothing. Not the words, not the letters, not the image, not the nothing. Nothing. And people do this all the time. People make this mistake all the time. It's a very common mistake for people to visualize God. Because since the beginning of time, people have been trying to humanize God. As soon as God has an image, he's like us. That's why Christianity made God into a human being. That's why people love to make idols. That's why people like to sometimes make their rabbis into an idol.
What's the problem with visualizing, for example?
Yud Hey Vav Hey?
Yeah.
Because you're visualizing an image for Hashem. You're visualizing, that's what he looks like.
It's one of his names.
No, just
It's a
letter,
name.
I mean, not an image.
Again, it's still an image. You're visualizing it as something that's what it looks like up there. It doesn't look like up there. That's not even his real name.
It's one of his names.
It's one of the names, but the real name is 72 letters. It's not something we have today. It's not the real name. Visualizing something for him is mamash 100% not allowed. Not allowed to visualize letters, not allowed to visualize a hand, because in essence you're making him into something material. Something, you're minimizing him from what he is. And in reality, by the way, you should know that every letter of the Hebrew alphabet is a name of God. Aleph is a name of God. Bet is a name of God. Gimel by itself, without anything else. Gimel is a name of God. Every letter in the alphabet is a name of God. That's why every time you read Torah, every single time, every letter, not just every word, every letter you read is a mitzvah. You said Hashem. Same thing like saying Hashem. But you're not allowed to visualize what it looks like up there.
What about like in the Ashrei, sometimes in the book it says when you get to Poteach et Yarecha, it tells you you should have the Chatach in mind.
You could that you're not visualizing God. You're visualizing a certain name. You're not visualizing what's in Shamayim. You're visualizing those specific letters that's in front of you that has to do with a sgula for parnasa, for parnasa, potech et edecha, rashi tevot, and so on, and things of that nature. That is, you're visualizing letters for a certain angel. It has nothing to do with an image of God. It has nothing to do with an image of God. Yeah.
What is this concept, God created man in his image?
Right. So, we're going to answer both of those questions. So, when Hashem Yitbarach said in Genesis, in Sefer Bereshit, let's create man in our image. He didn't say my image, in our image. So first the Kofrim, the idol worshippers, say, look, that's the Trinity. There's many gods. He says our image. So that's because they read the Torah literally. They don't read the Mefarshim. They don't read the commentary. What does it mean that Hashem said, let's create man in our image? What's our image? Chazal explains to us that before Hashem created man, he created angels. Why did he create angels? If he can do everything, and he technically does everything, because the way of a king is not to serve himself. The way of a king is to have servants. What kind of king doesn't have servants? If he doesn't have servants, he's not a king. Part of being a king is to have servants, so he created angels. But since Hashem is not your typical king, he's the King of Kings, but he's also El Rachum V'Chanun, he's also a merciful God, He says, listen, I don't want my angels, my servants to feel bad about themselves, like they're pure slaves and that's it. I want them to feel like they have some type of significance. So how do I make the angels feel like they have any significance? They know the truth. So I'm going to ask them their opinion. What do you guys think? Let's make man in our image? Not that he needs their opinion. But he's asking their opinion as if they have a part of it. What is it like? When an owner of a business tells one of his old-time employees, it's a janitor though. Guy works for him 25 years, but he's a janitor. The guy makes $50,000 a year, or whatever janitors make. In New York, they make a lot of money. He says, listen, what do you think? I should buy this building? This building is $400 million. He's asking a janitor who makes $50,000. What does the janitor know? The janitor says yes. He goes, you know what? I'm going to do it. Because you said it, I'm going to do it. Not because he cares about his opinion. He just wants him to feel important. He's a janitor. He works for him for 20 years. He wants him to feel good about himself. Le'avdil Hashem Yitbarach. Hashem Yitbarach says, let's make man in our image. Why? To make the angels feel like they have a partnership in creation. That's one. Two, the second thing is, what does it mean, our image, when there's no image? The image means that man is able to choose between right and wrong. They have free choice. They have free will. Hashem obviously has free will. He created free will. The angels, he gave them a certain amount of will. They also have free will, but it's limited. Meaning that it's free will, but if they choose wrong, they get punished on the spot. It's free will. They can do whatever they want. But if they do wrong, they get punished on the spot. Where do we learn it from? From creation. Same thing we learn in Genesis. That two angels went against the decision. They said, no, Hashem, don't create them. Don't create man. Why? They're going to go against you. They're kofrim. They're going to go against you. They're going to worship idols. They're going to do this. They're going to be immodest. They're going to gamble. They're going to do this. They're going to do it. Why? Well, give us the Torah, Hashem. He says, you think that if you went to the world, you can pass their test? I'm going to send you to the world. Let's see what you do. So he sent the two angels to the world. They became the Nephilim. They became the giants, and they became the biggest sinners and caused the Dor HaMabul. They caused the flood. So even they could not pass the test, and Hashem sent them to a place called Azazel as a punishment. But needless to say, the angels have a certain amount of free choice. Man, he says, man has free choice. What's his free choice? Is he have free choice to come to the world? No. Did you choose to come to the world? Nobody asked you. Does a man has a free choice whether he's male or female? No. Even though people believe they do, they don't. You come to the world, male or female, Hashem decides. Does he have a choice of being tall or short? No. With all the surgeries in the world, you still don't have a choice. Black or white? No. Even though some people like to put chemicals on their skin like Michael Jackson, they're still black in reality. Or they're white in reality, whatever they are. You can't choose that. Rich or poor? No, it's not up to you. Why? Hashem decides whether you're going to be rich or poor. Hashem decides. It has nothing to do with you. You can work as a plumber and be rich. You can work as a stockbroker and be poor. You can work as a diamond manufacturer and be rich. You can work as a janitor and be even richer. How? You own the janitorial company. But the point is that Hashem decides whether you're going to be rich or poor. What's up to you? What's your real free choice? Your free choice is, Gemara says, Akol bidei shamayim chutz mirat shamayim. Everything in the hands of shamayim, everything is from Hashem, except whether you have fear of Hashem. Whether you're going to do what Hashem says. That's your free choice. Hashem says, learn Torah. You have a choice to learn Torah or not learn Torah. Hashem says, go to Beit Knesset. You have a choice, go to Beit Knesset or not go to Beit Knesset. Hashem says, do mitzvot. You can do mitzvot, do averot. Hashem give you a Torah. You have a choice whether to follow it or not. But the free choice we have is not really free choice. Why? Free choice to us means we choose something. If we do it, we get rewarded. If we don't do it, we get nothing. That's free choice. If I go to work, I get paid. If I don't get to work, I get nothing. That's free choice. That's not what we have. What we have is choice. Not free choice, but choice. What does it mean? If I go to work, I get paid. If I don't go to work, the boss sends people to my house and they beat me up. That's what we have. If I do good, Hashem gives me reward. If I don't do good, if I don't follow His laws, He punishes me. That's what we have. That's choice. That's not free choice. There's Gan Eden and Gehenom. There's bracha uklala. It comes together. It's not bracha o klala. It's bracha uklala. Meaning, it's a blessing and a curse. Not a blessing or a curse. It comes together. Package deal. So, here we learn that when Hashem Yitbarach told Moshe Rabbeinu, no one can see my face and live, but I'll show you my back, it contradicts everything we've said in the last 15 minutes. Why? Because we just said Hashem doesn't have an image. So what's this? What is that? There's a face is an image. A back is an image. Where's the image? So Hashem is not talking about an image, because if you look at the Torah, Hashem says, I took you out of Egypt with a strong hand. He doesn't have a hand. Waiting, Hashem's hand came out from the sky? No hand. So what's the image? What's the image? The image is this. Hashem says, you cannot see what I'm doing as I'm doing it. What's in front of you, the face is in front of you. What's in front of you, and understand why I'm doing it. For example, He showed Moshe Rabbeinu Rabbi Akiva. He showed Rabbi Akiva teaching Torah, teaching special secret halachot from the keter, from the crowns of the Hebrew language, the crowns of the letters. Moshe Rabbeinu says, I don't understand what he's teaching. If you have such a person in the world that's going to come to the world, don't give me the Torah. Wait 500 years, 1,000 years. Let him come to the world. Give him the Torah. I don't know as much Torah as him. And then he sees, Moshe Rabbeinu sees Rabbi Akiva say, and everything we have, we got from Moshe Rabbeinu from Mount Sinai. Meaning, it's the same thing that Moshe Rabbeinu got, it just expanded on. He elaborated on it. But then he shows the end of Rabbi Akiva, and he shows that Rabbi Akiva, when he was killed in a very vicious way, where the Goyim, Yimach Shemam V'Zichram, took his skin and shaved it, like you peel a potato. And then they took his meat, and they sold it in the shuk, in the market, to eat. So Moshe Rabbeinu says to Hashem, Zeh Torah v'zeh schara. This is Torah. This is a book of Sefer Torah, this Rabbi Akiva. And that's the reward he gets. Hashem says, Rav Lach. Hashem says, be quiet. Why be quiet? He says, you're not going to understand what I'm doing as I'm doing it and be able to understand why I'm doing it. Why? You're still human. You're still limited in your human form. Even though you're holy, you're still limited in your human ability. You cannot understand what I'm doing as I'm doing it. You could only do it once you're not human. So you can't see my face and live. Meaning, you can't see what I'm doing, understand it, and still be alive, still be a person in this world. But I'll show you my back. What does it mean I'll show you my back? I'll show you all my finished work. I'll show you Adam HaRishon, what he did and why I did what I did. I'll show you Noach, what he did and what I did what I did. I'll show you everything I finished already. So Adam HaRishon lived 930 years. What, 930 years? Hashem got bored at 930? That's it, you just pick 930? Okay, that's it, finished. Metushelach lived a few hundred years more. He wasn't more tzaddik than Adam HaRishon. Doesn't say that he was more tzaddik than Adam HaRishon. Why did Adam HaRishon die at 930 years? What's the answer? Answer is, Hashem Yitbarach says, if you sin, if you eat from the tree of knowledge, then I will have to kill you on that one day. I'll have to kill you that day. I'll have to kill you that day. Take your life that day. So David HaMelech in Tehillim says, one day to you, Hashem, is like 1,000 years to us. One day to you is like 1,000 years to us. So Hashem delivered on the promise He made to Adam HaRishon. He says, I told you, if you sin, I'm going to kill you on that day. But not a day like a human day, a day like God's day. Not that God has concept of time, but as David HaMelech explains, it's 1,000 years. That's where we get the 1,000. But he still didn't live 1,000 years. What happened? 70. What happened with the 70? Adam HaRishon had prophecy. Adam HaRishon was able to see until the end of time. Hashem showed him the end of the world. He says, how's the Mashiach going to come? Mashiach, he says, is going to come from a seed. The problem is, that seed doesn't have any merits to live. Meaning, it's going to be a stillborn baby. It's going to come to the world and die instantly. Not going to live. So, Adam HaRishon says, how can I ever fix my sin if there's no Mashiach? Hashem says, you can't fix your sin. So, can I give him 70 of my years? Hashem says, yes. So, he gave him 70 years. So, that's how he lived, only 930. But the Zohar Kadosh says that Adam HaRishon regretted it. He says, you know what, give me back the 70 years. But Hashem says, you already made a decision. So, anyway,
Wait, what's the 70 years for? Who's the 70 years?
Adam HaRishon was supposed to live 1,000 years. He gave 70 years to David HaMelech. David HaMelech, which the Mashiach comes from him, was supposed to die at birth. But if the Mashiach comes from him, how is the Mashiach going to come from him if he dies at birth? He's not going to be able to have kids. So Adam HaRishon, the first Adam, says that in order for the Mashiach to come, he has to live, he has to have kids, he has to have Shlomo HaMelech, and so on and so forth. So I'll give him, since I'm going to live 1,000 years, what's 70 years? Big deal. It's 7%. Big deal. Problem is, when he got to an older age, when he knew that he's going to die soon, he wanted the 7 years back. But that's so Hashem gave us the full answer to that, or at least the answer that we know of, because he showed it to Moshe Rabbeinu. He showed it to Moshe Rabbeinu, and he says, after I finished, then you'll understand. My back you can see. Meaning everything that's finished, you can see and you can understand it. But while it's still happening and it's still an unfinished product, you cannot understand it and live. You cannot understand it as a human being. So there's no such thing as a face of God or a back of God.
So he showed him only one.
He showed him the.
Vision of Rabbi Akiva.
No, he
That
showed
was
him.
enough. That was
No,
enough.
he showed him all the future. Showed him all the generations.
Okay.
Showed him all the generations in past, all the generations in the future. And as a matter of fact, one of the things he showed him is he showed him Gehinnom. The scariest thing is that Moshe Rabbeinu saw Gan Eden, he saw the future, he saw Mashiach, he saw the end of the world, he saw everything. And he also showed him Gehinnom.